Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Jerry Royce, and welcome to the Positive Power 21 Network with Uncovering Mr. Right, My Love Story. Please sit back, relax, release, and enjoy this presentation of Uncovering Mr. Right, My Love Story. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Positive Power 21, Uncovering Mr. Right, My Love Story, with starring Dennis Soriano. He's my guest tonight. He's going to bring us some insight. He's been married for a few years now. He's raising children. He has a wife. He's helping his mom out. He's a businessman, a government man. So he's going to lay it all down on the line. So you guys have any questions out there, hopefully he'll answer them, because we're not doing a Q&A. So anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. And Dennis, welcome to the show, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Jerry. Thank you for having me tonight.
Yeah, man, I know you had a little struggle getting home, man. The snow has hit the East Coast. Maryland is getting blanketed right now as we speak. So
right.
Everything's good? Everything's good?
Yep. Everything is always good.
All right. Appreciate you being here, man. We had your boy on earlier. He really surprised me. He's a funny guy. But he brought a very good presentation, man, and I'm sure you're going to do the same thing for our listeners, okay?
All right.
All right, before we get started, man, and jump into what's going on in your life, we want to know, just give us a little background, what you up to, what your hobbies are, and, some of your challenges out there so far.
Well, Jerry, for me right now, just a lot of stuff going on, and just to kind of let you know about them, right now got a couple of business ventures that's on the works for me personally, and also at the same time helping the business expand for my brother who's in the restaurant and food product business. So for me personally, I'm currently in the process of getting my certifications and registration for in contracting with the state and also with the federal government. So it's the business which entails IT, information technology, and which we focus on business support and integration and implementation of systems and networks, basically, for small and medium-sized businesses around the region here in Maryland. And so those are my two focus, aside from being a full-time government employee. So, and also, aside from that, there's also, of course, and, I give praise to God that, I still have my other mission in which I do computer repair on the side as well, on weekends or on my spare time. And all the proceeds from that goes to missions back home, actually, and helping kids after-school program in even local churches that are near my hometown. So.
All right. Great. All right, you're a busy man, and raising two girls.
Right, and I do have two twin daughters who are 17 months old.
All right, that's the challenge I was talking about. Girls, man, gotta love them. All right, we appreciate you sharing that with us, and so now the audience have a good idea who you are, what you going up against. So you don't have a lot of time, freed up time. You have to make time for you and your wife, and that's what we're going to talk about. Now, before we get into you two, because I knew you before you got married. Tell us what you were like, when you were in high school. Because a lot of times, guys, a lot of ladies have they had the opportunity to have met us then, but they were looking at those pretty boys or those athlete guys, and they said, well, let's leave those art guys alone, because that's where I was, the art guys, and let's leave the martial arts guys alone, and let's leave the little nerd, those guys alone. So who were you? Well,
I was actually, you can probably sum it up on my high school. I probably lived. If I had to stand back and look back, I would have to say I kind of touch on both good and bad. When I said good and bad, is we're looking at the perspective of a high school student with some people might call it a bad image, some might call it a good image. Growing up here, let me just kind of fall back just a little bit. That I came in this country at a young age. Back in '84. At that time, I was almost 9 or 10 years old, and really didn't speak much English. But I thank my grandma for when she raised me in the Philippines, that she gave me the basic stuff, and so I did learn a little bit of English. But as I start going to school, elementary here in Maryland, and most of my life I've been in the state, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, but majority that I lived was here in Maryland. So just growing up, I struggled a lot in the beginning, but then once I pick up how everything is, the life, the culture here, it's really totally opposite of what back home was. So it was a big adjustment. And just to see the different cultures of races in terms of white, black, Asian, Hispanic, we never had that back home. So it was a really eye-opener just growing up. So I've endured like probably most, whether it's racial issues and so forth of that nature. I've also experienced that. So growing up. So
all right.
Going back to high school, I actually kind of live a twofold, a good and a bad. Bad where I hanged out with, of course, the bad crowd, but at the same time, my academics was really high. I ended up at the end of my senior year, I was probably actually, let me go a year before my senior year. On my junior year, I'd probably taken all advanced classes, and I had to go to Harvard University to do credits for college credit.
Wow.
So by the time on my senior year, I felt like, I was the king in the high school because I'd pretty much taken all the classes, and I only had probably like 2-3 classes the whole semester of the last semester of my senior year. So I graduated as valedictorian in high school. So, and that gave me a scholarship offers from different schools. And what I'm so grateful and thankful with with this nation and this country is that it's although it's the old cliche that you hear it over and over, the land of the free, the opportunities is here, and all this stuff that you hear, whether in the media and your elders, your grandmother, your mother, all these people, and you hear it a lot, and it is true. You have that. We have the most, as far as opportunities concerned, this nation has it. And sometimes I just think that we take it for granted. The opportunity, because for me personally, if I didn't, did my best academically and in school, I wouldn't probably be here. Because to add to that, because I had a scholarship, and my actual status at that time, I was actually a diplomat because I was under my mother. And my mother worked for an embassy. So that's how I came about, and that's how I came to this country, because my mom was stationed here of one of the embassies. So I came in as a diplomat, but during at that time, the Lord just plans everything for a reason. And I'm a godly man, and just thinking back what he did, I truly believe he already planned this before, before I could have seen it. So during that time, while I was graduating and getting my scholarship, so I had to either, there was two things that could happen because my mom actually was, her contract was done with embassy. So that means when she resigns from the embassy, our status would either be alien, or we either have to go back home and reapply and come back. So the chances were very slim at that point. Well, we ended up hiring a lawyer, especially for me, because I did accept a scholarship with George Washington University, and with their help, with their faculty, and with the other support from my family and friends and high school principals and you name it. I mean, they signed a petition, and it was hundreds of petitions where it got to the judge that he granted my stay, a permanent resident, and that's how I got my permanent resident status. I'm telling you, it goes back to it always. Everything I look back on my high school days, and growing up in the early '90s and late '80s and early '90s. If you ever seen a commercial with a mine is a terrible thing to waste, United States College Fund. That always stands in my mind every time I look back and how I had to endure that, and what blessings it is in disguise that I was able to get a status, a resident.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because of the academics, because of working hard for it. So going back to your original, that's how I went about high school. I had the good part and the bad part. So hang out with the crowd, but yet at the end of it, graduating number one. And people didn't see it that way. Some people, the friends that I hang out, they really didn't care what I was doing, after I went home. I mean, but I was doing, I still kept studying and studying hard. And it pays off. And I really didn't have time, to tell you the truth. I really didn't have time about, any girls or any relationship at that time. I was really focused on either studying and just hanging out. That was it. Because in my culture, being brought up is just the way that we were raised, and we were, our upbringing and making it and just finishing everything before, starting a relationship and so forth.
Yeah, so, some people do the opposite.
Exactly. So I see it, I see it with my friends. I look back, they had their relationships and, dating scenes and days, but, it's how you really focus and plan it.
That's true.
I think is very important, and so it was for me. It was a blessing, and how everything just came together at the right time.
Sure did.
I praise God for that. So
that's an amazing story, man. I never heard that story. I've been knowing you for almost 7 years.
Well, it's something that nobody really asked, but that is the truth, and I'm glad that you've given me the chance to share that to your and to your audience. So
yeah, absolutely, because it's funny. You think you know people, but you never really get a chance to sit down and let somebody tell that story. It's like they give you a little bit here, like, yeah, I went to an engineering school. Yeah, I went to this school, but you never really hear the true journey. Like, I never knew that was a blessing, man, that you made it. That's a story I could tell to the kids I mentored to that's having issues with their grades.
It is. It's true. It truly is. I mean, just all the stuff that I've accomplished and what I have done, and just kind of like step back and looking back. Wow, I can just say, there is a purpose for everything. Why?
It is. It is. Yeah, while you meet people, while you cross that person's path, I mean, everything is destiny, man. It happened out of our control. And you just think about why you left the house at the time you left the house, and then it's like, wow, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have met this person, you know.
Yep.
And I think the same thing is funny because the show before us, I had a co-host on, and the co-host, her and I really became really, really good friends, and I can almost say she's like a best friend. You know, she's like really supportive, for, no matter, with this project. Cause this was my dream, and then I think about, I said, wow, if it wasn't for the fact that I was working hard on my previous jobs, which kind of made my aunt proud enough to recommend me to work in the agency, because no one want to recommend a deadbeat relative. Especially if they're in management. You just don't want to do that. So then, I said, wait a minute, I got to come in and work hard. And that kind of got me into the program, just like you're in the program right now. Congratulations to that, because that's a big achievement. And one thing I can say, our AC, she does talk about those achievements of her people who make those programs, man. She's like really proud. We don't get a chance to really sit around. I think that's one of her objectives this year, to try to get to know her people. Mm-hmm. And I think your story should be a story that probably should be published.
Wow. I'd be glad. I'd be glad to, to work with you and to make that happen. Anything that can inspire kids nowadays, especially, to point them in the right direction, to continue to give them that, education is always been a key to success. So, stay in school. I mean, that's right. We've how many times have we heard that growing up? I mean, I've been here 30 years now, actually. My 30th anniversary living in this great country is going to be coming up in 2 months, April.
Wow.
So
wow.
I came in April 1984, so it's been a long journey, and I don't regret. I'll tell you that much. If there's a place that I would pick, I'd rather be here in this country.
That's right. And look, right, in all the places you pick, man, I always ask people when they come here, like when they come here from Nigeria or the UK, how did you choose Baltimore or D.C.? Well, D.C. is a monumental place to live. I mean, who wouldn't choose D.C.? But right. Baltimore, of all places, and everybody has their own story, man, how they landed here. And then you happen to be working here, which is fantastic.
Right.
All right, and then you're operating a business that's pretty much the way technology is. It could be worldwide, and you and your brother about to embark on a big piece of business that's probably going to be countrywide if everything happens the way you guys want it to happen.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Good. All right. Before we get into the relationship part of the show, we just want to say, Dennis, are you living your dream?
I would say I think more. I would say more living. I would say the right way. When I growing up, of course, I had dreams of pursuing what I'm going to be. Everybody wants to be that, pursuing high careers, high-profile careers, doctors, lawyers, and I had those, aspirations growing up. But looking back, I always like to look back and what I was doing then and what I was thinking then, what was my plan. I mean, dreams are dreams, and you can make them a reality. For me, it's more of living right, going on the right path. And I think this is all due once, again, and, I'm probably going to talk a little bit later of how my wife really, helped me to know, the Lord, really.
Yeah,
and, it started from her, and ever since that, everything just been great. Life, there's no worries, there's no, stress, and although I have so many stuff going, in my plate,
Mm-hmm.
For all the strength and all the energy. If the Lord is not with me, I don't think I will be able to do all this what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, but the thing about it is you're doing things that you love, that you have a passion for doing.
And that's true. And and that's kind of goes back to, we have dreams. Kids have dreams to be, all right, I want to be this and that. And sometimes, is it really what you want, or are you just pleasing your parents?
Right.
I mean, for me, I found that out when I finally decided to major and go to pre-med in GW. And at that point, I said, you know what, my mom is a single mom raising 3 boys, me being the youngest, and I said to myself, I want to be a doctor, and that's what I'm going to do, and to help my mom and my family to get a better life here in this great nation. And so that's what I pursued. But after my freshman and going to my sophomore, with all the classes and hard study, the lack of sleep, and just going through sleeping in the library and so forth, and then I started to realize that, hey, is this something that I would really love to do once I finish? Is this my passion? And that was what kind of changed me to the direction of now, what my passion is now, which is information technology, IT stuff.
Man, so, I would have never known that, man, that you pursued being a doctor. Didn't know that.
I did. So I was a chemistry major, turned to then my second year was a biology major. Then going to my third, before I changed it, I was a biochemist actually. So a lot of people really don't know what I did study first, and that's it was mostly science stuff, and that's what drove me in my couple of years of my college prior to dealing with information technology. So
did you stay at the same school for information technology?
I actually finished it, but with a couple. It took me an extra year and finished that. At that time, that was late 80s, and then that was actually early 90s, I'm sorry. And then by mid-90s, and then I'm not sure if you can recall, when we were approaching Y2K, that was a big deal for in the IT world, because nobody knew what the computers were going to do. The big computers, the mainframes, all these giant companies, everybody was really didn't really know what to expect when it turns to that year. So, and I got a little bit more, and I actually went to specialize in a technical school to study more in terms of security, cybersecurity. So I had certifications with that, but at the end of it, a bachelor was achieved. But now, kind of what I hope to do is, hopefully in the next couple of years, is go for a master in cybersecurity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's big right now.
It's really big right now. Yeah.
All right. So now you're working with the federal government. Of course, you're not really doing what you went to school for, and you're still trying to break into that. Are you still interested? Is your heart with working in systems for the federal government, or you prefer to do what you're doing now, and that's build your own infrastructure?
This program that I'm currently doing for the next 12 months, and me picking this first assignment, in which, in this case, in the Center of Technology for the government, it really opened up this first month that I've been here with the assignment. So to to just kind of piggyback to your question, is this something I would like to do if I get in, if I'm with the department? I would say no. The reason being is that there's still protocols, and there's still quote politics involved, and you being in it too, you know how protocols are and how different components works. I look back, and maybe I'd rather do what I'm currently building now. So I hope, and by God's grace and His blessings and His will, if that's the direction that He wants me to go, then I will definitely hold on to that.
That's right. So basically, the agency would just be a stepping stone, just maintaining the household until you get your business off the ground.
I think so. And not only that, I really also think that with my brother's business on that side of the product that they're about to launch, I really think that that business and the business that I'm building, I really think that it's going to be the direction I believe that will break me through. And who knows, if whatever happens, if both businesses are successful, it's going to be hard to leave my family in the federal government, but I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah, that's right, man. Because one thing we can say, it's been good to us, to still provide, a decent lifestyle for your family, and we didn't have to worry about when the economy went bad. We didn't have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. We didn't have the overtime we were used to, but we were still getting that paycheck, and there was no chance of that, even though it was a threat at one time. But we were guaranteed we were going to get paid.
Right.
So if you had a decent bank account or some bank account, you were able to work your way through that, and that was definitely a blessing, man. Absolutely, that's right. All right, man. We appreciate you sharing all that with us, man, because there's definitely a lot there I did not know, and that just goes to show, what we do at lunchtime. We be napping. So if we don't get a chance to sit around the lunch table and exchange, brag and see who's the bigger person at the table with the most achievements, and that's one reason why I kind of followed your lead on that. I really don't sit around lunch table because, people tend to, I think, say a little bit too much sometimes, especially when we're going through a struggling economy, that make them feel better about themselves. So I tend to, shy away from table lunch,
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like you said, there are people that sometimes do talk a lot, and sometimes they just don't realize and take into account the other person who they are communicating with.
Right.
I learned that also as part of my upbringing, and for me, I rather listen than being the person talking.
Right.
Because you can, being a good listener and this is from my experience. I've never been a talkative person growing up, but just being listening and hearing, all sorts of aspects of personal life, good or bad. It actually, believe it or not, it actually makes me a stronger person when I listen. Because, whether you listen to somebody who's struggling, or whether you listen to somebody who was struggling and was able to overcome those obstacles, it's I call it testimonies, and that's just makes that power, and just by just listening, and man, That's
right.
I take that and I make it positive and say, if this person was able to do that, hey, who knows? I know I'm probably going to run to a similar situation. And at least, you have some type of idea of, from a person who just ran to that issue or problem, and take that into account, and at the back of your head or somewhere. But who knows? If you run to that problem, at least you have a plan.
That's right. That's
so
right.
Once you take all these different experiences and talking to your family, to your friends, to your colleagues, to your coworkers, it's always good to listen and
yes.
just take those and take note and take those into account. So
absolutely. And see, one thing about me, I'm more of a one-on-one person. I like to find out who you are, because I always feel like everybody has a little piece of them that could fit with that one big puzzle. And people come to me and say, Jerry, do you know somebody who do this? Do you know a carpet guy? Do you know a guy that fix cars? It's kind of like I know who those people are because I have in my little database what their specialty is. Now, I know you got some problems and you got these challenges, but at the same time, I know your specialty. And you can help somebody. So like I said, the lunch table thing don't work for me because I'm more of a one-on-one person. Like I'll sit there and have lunch with a person one-on-one, like once in a blue moon. But basically, I'm kind of like you when it comes to the respective, listening to what people are bringing to the table. And some people share a little bit too much, I think, but it's because they're looking for, I guess, a venue to, express themselves or to, I guess, get rid of some built-up emotions, right. Something like that. But that's why I always felt. That's why we got church and that kind of thing.
I was going to lead to that too. But yeah, you hit on right. So
that's right, and I appreciate that. All right, man, we ready to talk about how you got with Angelica.
Well,
I said that correctly, didn't
I? Yeah, that's right. My wife her name is Angelica. And again, I did talk a little bit about her, and she was an inspiration to me, and she's the one who actually led me to the Lord. And that's how I accepted my Lord, Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. So
she was your angel then.
She is my angel, and she's Angelica was actually. Believe it or not, before I left back home when I was 9 or 10, and at that time I was going to second or third grade, I believe. But prior to that, my wife now, she was actually my kindergarten and my first grade classmate.
Oh, really?
And, yes, and her mom was actually our first grade teacher. So my mother-in-law was my former first grade teacher back home. So it's awesome how God
that was powerful
together. So you would think that of all the years I've been here, and I don't get me wrong, I've dated in my college years and so forth, but I never found the one. And all the years that I've I was in the club scenes. I mean, all the clubs, you name it, here in especially in DC. I mean, I've been there, and I got to the point where there's so much clubs keep opening, and the same people over and over, and just gets tiring. And at the end of it, it's what have you accomplished? Nothing. Just wasted a lot of time and money, because drinks at that time was a lot of money. But I think it was one day when my grandma, who's still alive, she's 97.
All right.
Actually visited us here here in Maryland from the Philippines. So it was one day that before she was leaving to go back, like a good a few months. And then before she left, I can remember that moment in time, it was at night, and we were just talking, and she asked me, and she goes, you know, I'm getting old, and when are you going to find the one, and when are you going to get married and have kids? It was that talk, and so she said, why don't you go home and find somebody there? And I said, at that time, I didn't, I did listen to that, but it really didn't hit me until the following couple of years, and that's when my uncle, which is my mom's brother, was diagnosed with cancer. And,
sorry to hear that.
Growing up, he was one of the he was the only uncle I had, and I was really close to him. And during that time, of all the years that I've been here, I've never went home. So it was like, and that was back in 05 actually, when he was diagnosed, and that's the first time. So imagine from 1984, being here all that time and going back in 2005. After all those years, that was the first time I went home. And boy, I tell you what, the flight, I never realized how far it is to go home, because it's literally it's an 18-hour flight from here to Manila, capital city of the Philippines, and then additional 6-hour drive from Manila to my hometown. So you're talking about a good 24 hours nonstop. So that's how long it takes for me to go home. So, and once I got home at that summer of 05, I look back where I grew up. I really didn't recognize all the neighborhoods, my neighborhood. Okay. Some people, a lot has changed over 20 plus years, so you can imagine. But I think that was the eye opener. And just, when I went there, I just pretty much we knew that, my uncle was going to be terminally ill. Because, he was already stage 3, and then it was becoming stage 4. And, we know that any time, he could go.
So you guys were real close when you was growing up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was actually, he was like my father figure. Growing up, I only saw my father probably in my first 6 years. But after that, then my uncle was like the father figure in the household with my grandma. So there were my two ones that really took care of me while my mom was here, and the rest of the family was here. But anyway, so in 05, and then prior to that summer, prior to going back, I made it, an attempt to kind of gather to see the neighborhood and who's really here. I know, I've been hearing stuff that, some of the people I know and so forth has also went abroad, to find better job and better living. So what I did was, on my last week, I actually, contacted, I found one of my friends who I knew growing up, and I said, you know what, remember this? And we just went through the pictures way back in 80s, and we said, and I asked him, I said, James, who's here? Who's left here in the neighborhood? So he took me one day, he took me around, and believe it or not, it was only Angelica and maybe another girl and another boy who all went to school, kindergarten and first grade, and then a little bit of second grade. So we planned on my not last night, but second to the last night before I was going to leave to go to Manila, to fly out. I went ahead and had a reunion dinner. So there was at least 7 of us, and then Angelica was there, and to just catch up and to just kind of reminisce how the things that we did when we were way back in kindergarten and first grade and a little bit of second grade. So we really had a good time. And then at the end of that evening, I just wanted to get their contact numbers and emails, and maybe, to continue our communication. So when I went back to the States, I tell you what, the only person I was thinking then was my wife, who's my wife now. So don't ask me why, but I started asking, like, man, she's single all this time, and I knew growing up, did we ever, all the guys or majority of the students in the class in which she was in, we really envied her and her cousin, because they were the only two that spoke English. Everybody didn't speak, and so, and plus, her mom being a teacher, you know how that is, we call it teacher's pet and so forth. So we really envy when we were back in first grade and second grade and so forth. So, and who would know that, and just kind of looking back, that she was the one. And so we kept communicating and so forth. And then at that time, when I left, my uncle was still alive. Then a couple of months later, he passed away. So I went back for the burial, and just stayed I think a week and a half at that point. And before I left again, I spent more time in visiting Angelica. And
I bet.
and she, just kind of the emails we exchanged prior to that, and we just went out more, and just you can pretty much, I would say I started courting her at that time, I would say. But our communication, we're still friends, and it wasn't until it developed maybe after, from that time, that that my second trip going back, and then when I came back here for the second time in the States, where I really, started thinking more about her, and still kept communicating, and then it got to the point where, the question was asked, and where are you in your life? I mean, he started sharing about the Bible and Jesus and so forth, and nobody ever did that to me. And so, I started, reading it, and she started guiding me, and she actually sent me a Bible from home, shipped it all the way here, believe it or not.
Wow. So, make sure you got it.
Yeah. And so we exchange, keep talking about it. So she was really working, and I'm truly believe that God was using her for His purpose. And I'm so grateful, and thank God
absolutely
that He did that. And so, when I came back the next summer, I went back for the third time, and that's when I said, you know what, I want to get baptized, and that's when I professed, and that's when I became a Christian. And and one thing too about her side of the family is, if the ladies are either teachers or nurses, and on the guys or the father are either pastors.
Get out of here.
So her dad was a pastor. Her brother right now is a pastor.
Wow.
And so her brother-in-law is a pastor. So and it's such a blessing to be around around her family and relatives, very, very close family, and very down to earth. And they've really helped me, not only me, but also my family back home. So it's been great. But that's how she really led me to the Lord. And from there, we continued to court, and probably that late another summer, 2006. And that's when me and my mom had one of those talks, and I told my mom, I said, I think it's about time, and my mom was excited because she knew that family well. They were, they were just ordinary family, but very, very close because, that, the way their side of the family and the relatives, again, teachers, pastors, nurses, So, and my mom, gave me the blessing, and
all right.
So my grandma.
Now, Dennis, was that going to be hard for her family? Her leaving home to come here.
Yeah,
was that going to be hard?
It was. When I proposed, and we knew ahead, the plan. Of course, that I was going to petition here for her to come here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know it's going to be a big adjustment. I mean, how much more, that she lived, back home for all her life, and to come to this culture, to this country, and I can't imagine, but just knowing from friends that I grew up with and who actually came here, I can kind of see or kind of feel what she's going to go through, and it's good that you mentioned that because prior for her, after we got engaged, and we actually did our civil wedding there because her family was there. So I flew as much of my family here to go there. Actually, let me step back. We did just a regular civil wedding, and then maybe 6 months later, we did an actual church, wedding. But in which I flew as much of my family here. It was very expensive, but I think it was all worth the while. But after that, and getting her the petition up here, and that took at least 8-9 months. But before she left here, I we had talked with the pastors and the family, and they pretty much, of course, the experience that she was going to be, and they broke it down for me that don't ever leave her, and don't change who you are, and just keep praying for one another, and keep going to church, keep hearing the word, just keep focused on God and life, and everything will just trickle down. And it actually did, and they were right.
That's powerful.
So yeah, it was a big adjustment for her, but in due time, she got to adopt the culture here, and I think when she started working, she had more of a feel of how life here.
So she's in nursing?
She was a nurse, and it's funny. See, we do have similarities. She studied nurse. She finished nursing at back home. But when I found her, when we kind of had our reunion, I didn't even know that she was working at a one prominent city paper in town. So she was doing advertisement and layout. So
wow.
Wait a minute, you were you finished because Philippines is really well known for nursing, and they have a lot of agencies who get nurses back in the Philippines, and some of the hospitals, and like Hopkins and some even the Baltimore hospitals here. I mean, you'll have a lot of Filipinos and Filipinos that came from home.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So yeah, nursing is kind of like the kind of like the image of, if you think about the Philippines, many are like, oh, nursing, yeah, that's it's really a number one profession.
Wow.
To have. So, but believe it or not, yeah, she actually was a nurse, and at that time, the country graduates so many nursing that, I mean, there was there was enough nursing, but as far as agency, to find her jobs abroad, it was really difficult. And she actually waited several years. And from what she told me, she said, you know what? And there was, instead of just waiting, she said she just wanted something to occupy her time, and so she put in, for a clerk job at the local newspaper in town. And sooner or later, she started liking it, and it was, it's something she wanted to do, and she just kind of moved up. So, and I think, it goes back to what I said, earlier, and said, it's really what you like. What do you like to do? What is your passion? You can be a doctor, you can be this high profession, but if you're not happy in doing it, it's not going to really work out. Are you just there for the money? Again, you hear that, money can't buy happiness, that's really true. So it's, she kind of had a similar path where, she was focused on this profession, but then, something happened, and she really really found what she liked. So, those stuff happen in life, and it happened to me. And so when she came here, she attempted to try to take the courses in the test, and at that point, as we get old, and that was 7 years ago, and we're hitting 39 this year. So actually, no, make that 40.
40. Get out of here.
Yeah, we're hitting.
Congratulations.
40. So she's actually 2 months older than me. So yeah, we'll be hitting 40 this year. So
for young children, for young kids.
Right. So at that time, for her to try to study back what she hasn't used, it was really hard. But she tried. But I think again, I think the Lord had other plans for her. And
so what's she doing right now for a living?
Well, she actually, we as you know, she just gave birth to beautiful twin daughters of ours.
Yeah, that's right.
She's been 17 months now. That's how old my twin daughters are. But prior to resigning, she was actually working admin position at a dialysis clinic in Tysons, Virginia. So,
okay.
We just felt that with two daughters, it was better for her to nurture.
Yeah, wait a little bit.
So,
yeah, that's right.
If I just to get a little bit more time, if I may, Jerry, and this is how God really work. And
yeah, you got like 4 minutes.
and I can't really emphasize how amazing He works. And so let me just give this testimony real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we thought about, okay, you're resigning, our finance is going to get depleted, and we know that, diapers times 2, the milk's going to be times 2, and
yes.
We were just planning and saying, Lord, both of our family never had twins, but we were just thinking, why twins? How did we get twins? And I was actually shocked when her OB revealed to us that we were having twins, but through prayers and just kept focusing on the Lord. And so and you kind of know what happened. So
yeah, absolutely.
We my wife and I said before she gave birth, I said, you know what? And this was back in ending of summer 2012, and we said to each other, we said, that's you're gonna stay home, you're gonna take care of the kids, and then I'll do my best to if there's gonna be overtime at work, I'll do it, and to just find extra whatever it is I can find, and I know that the Lord will provide. And so we really didn't worry, and we just said, we never thought of it. And then, you know what, as soon as my wife gave birth in August 2012, and, our coworker at that time, George.
Mm-hmm.
So George, our coworker, knew what my background was, and the timing was just so perfect. In which, he said, he came that one day, and then he approached me and he said, you know what, my wife is, the interim CEO of a nonprofit organization, and they're, the person who's handling their IT might be leaving, and what do you think? You think you're interested in it? And I was like, me? Are you serious? and he didn't know that, I never told him that my wife, is going to resign when she gives birth. So I'm like,
yeah, perfect.
And I'm like, wow. It's like, are you sure? It's like, yeah, let me talk to my wife, and just shoot me over your resume. And I tell you, Jerry, that week, at the end of that week, her George's wife called me and said, yeah, why don't you come in and I'll talk to you more about it. And and that's what and that was when actually the time that my wife gave birth, because she was actually 1 month earlier than her due date. So they were 1 month premature. And when I was talking to George's wife, I said, you know what, let me think about it. But but again, when my wife was in labor, I was like, that kind of went out of my mind. I was more focused on my wife, delivering the twins.
Mm-hmm.
So
what date they were born on again?
They were born on August 28th, 2012.
Mm.
And so that was I remember that was a Tuesday, and I got a call from my wife, and she said, I think you need to come now because my water's about to break. And I'm like, okay. And I just crammed and just left everything and
that's right.
Ran home.
That's right. They're supposed to have been born in September, my birth month.
Yes, they were. Their original due date were exactly September 28th, 2012, but they were exactly a month early. So, but just going back, and after she gave birth, after a week, and George's wife, followed up and said, the guy who was been taking care has actually found another job, and if you want the job, we can talk about, the contract and stuff. And I said, you know what, Lord, how perfect it is that that you're still providing the income that was lost.
Mm.
So, it was no word to explain it, but I know, and my wife know one thing, that the Lord, knew all this time.
That's right.
And and even now, my contract was extended for a second year. So, while my wife was still taking care, we still kept, the income going. It's like nothing has lost. So, I got all this stuff. But you know what? All the strength and everything that I do. The man upstairs has always been good, and it's always going to be good. And,
that's right. Amen.
That's for me. And believe it or not, even though I'm averaging 4 to 5 hours sleep, I am every time I just, when I have my meditation in the morning before my day, starts. Oh, that's just a refreshing, and just builds me up for the whole day. And so.
Amen.
To God be the glory. I tell you what, that was the testimony that I can always share to anybody that would like to. So I'm glad that you have asked me to be on this show tonight and
absolutely
share my life and testimonies, and I'm just glad to share that.
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Positive power, man, right here, man. I mean, where else could you have told this story better?
Exactly. So was something that I wanted to get it out there, because this just the timing was just amazing. So.
Yeah, man, that was perfect, man, because I think you got it all in on the exact time limit that I'm probably going to run across with YouTube. But they've been very good to us. Allowing us to publish our stories that's running over an hour, and normally it's like 15, 20 minutes. So it's definitely going to be a blessing. We get the whole entire segment of your story up will be fantastic.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Thanks so much.
That was quite a story, Dennis. I mean, I would have never known this stuff, man. You're a deep guy, man.
Yeah.
What a life.
It is.
Yeah, you are living a dream. You are living a dream.
Yeah.
The American dream.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was beautiful, man. I really appreciate it, Dan. I'm just sitting here just blushing, man. I was like, wow, I saw this guy every day for 7 years. I think I spend more time with you guys than my family.
Yeah, but
wow.
That's my story. That's my life, man. That's
wow.
where I came from. That's how I grew up here, and the struggle and things that I had to go through. So
oh man, I commend you, man. That's a real man. I'm hoping that anybody who's got it to this page, this story, this would be definitely an inspiration to them. Especially like you said, people don't take advantage of the opportunities. Shame on them. It takes people to come from somewhere else to take advantage of the opportunities here.
You're right. And this is the thing that I always tell, especially when sometimes I teach Sunday schools and so forth with even with young people. I always tell them, if you don't know the opportunity that you have, the things that you have here, and you guys are not really, you guys are just taking it for granted. And what I always tell them, if they can, and I said, you know what, if I had the money, if I had the resource, I would like to fly them, back home or back to another country and see really what other kids' life and see what they don't have.
That's right.
To just make them open their eyes, because I know when I went back in 2005, it really changes me too, because I said, man, I can't believe my people, I came from this neighborhood, from this country, and, just looking, they don't have much, but they're happy. But at the time, they work so hard and study so hard, and I'm like, just thinking me back here, and I said, man, you have these kids got all the resource, free schooling, books, the library,
medicine,
and man,
fresh water.
Oh, tell me about fresh water, and just the amenities, and I'm like, wow, and
I know.
that really opened up my eye when I went home, and if I had money to spare and resources, man, I would take as much as I can and take them back home and make them experience what life is there. Maybe go to Europe somewhere or other Asian or South American where they don't have much, and the lifestyle is not much. Make them open up their eyes, because it's different when they're just hearing it here and looking at television. You gotta be there to experience that.
I know. Documentary not gonna help with that. You like you said, you gotta. And see, I come from the farm, so I know pretty much what it's like. Yeah, we gotta use the bathroom outside.
Oh yeah.
Plumbing is like dripping water. I know that deal.
Oh, yeah.
All right, then we're gonna have to close this out, brother. I appreciate you being on here, man. You just don't know, man.
Hey,
just don't know.
I would like to, thank you for the time and the opportunity, and keep it up with your show and the guest that's going to come through in the future, and even the past guests that you have, including myself. So I'm thankful to share some positive aspect of life and through my experiences. And I know some other guests that you have also shared that too. So it's really a blessing, man. And
it is, man. This is
really thankful for the opportunity.
You're welcome, man, and we appreciate having you on positivepower21.org. This is Jerry Royce from Uncovering Mr. Right. That was Dennis Soriano sharing his life story. I know he made a difference to anybody that was listening to it. So again, everybody, continue to browse our site. We have some exciting guests, and we're gonna try to bring more and more. Who would have known that Dennis was the top guest for the night? Oh man, it was breathtaking. So take care, everybody, and thank you for tuning in. I'm Jerry Royce. That ends our presentation, and thank you for joining us at Uncovering Mr. Right, My Love Story. Please visit us at uncoveringmrright.com, separated by hyphens. This has been a Royce Enterprises production. Also join us at positivepower21.org, where we get positive. Thank you for joining us, and have a great evening.